and talking to some of my friends and stuff, they're like, man, I can't wait till you hold that blue trophy. I can't wait to when we get a blue trophy. It's not if. They would never say if. They said when. That told me that they believed in me and they wanted it for me. And that's why it meant so much, when it finally did happen.
Bassmaster Elite Series champion, the Whataburger Bassmaster Elite at Pickwick Lake, Tennessee, belongs to Brandon Lester.
I'm Brandon Lester. Welcome to my shop. I like to refer to this as the shop that fish built. We're in Fayetteville, Tennessee. This is where I was born and raised, been here all my life, and probably where I'll always live. It's a great place to raise a family. I got a wife and 2 kids, and it's a good little place. So we just wrapped up my 9th year on the Elite Series, and I had a dream of becoming a professional bass fisherman. I literally told my 3rd grade teacher, I want to be a professional bass fisherman. Had no idea what that meant at that time. I just knew that's what I wanted to do if there was any way possible. Both of my grandfathers liked to fish, but one of them liked it an awful lot. And I spent a lot of time with him during the summers when I was out of school, and we fished. And it wasn't just bass fishing. Neither my dad or my granddad, or Papa as I called him, neither one of them, I think my dad's fished 1 bass tournament in his life. That's something that I kind of grew my love into. But man, we fished for catfish on a riverbank. We fished for bluegill out of a farm pond. We just fished. I can take you back to the creek. It's within 10 minutes of my house right now. I can take you back to the creek where I remember catching my first bass. I have a picture of it. It was about a 2-pounder, not a big one at all. I got tons of memories, dude. I mean, we used to walk through a cornfield for a mile to sit on a mud bank on the side of the river to catch little channel cats this long. I mean, that's just where I came from. It's what I do. And I still am so fascinated by fish, not just bass. If you look in my boat right now, it's all crappie rods. That's all I've been doing, dude. I'm just fascinated by the whole water ecosystem and how it all works and how fish relate to bait and how they relate to structure. I love every bit of it. I went to college at UT Chattanooga, pursued a marketing degree. After college, came back home, went to work at a local plastics factory here in Fayetteville. And man, I fished every single tournament that I could get in, literally. Weekends, every single Wednesday night. I would literally drag my boat to work with me. And when I got off work at 3:30, go straight to the lake. The tournament started at 5:30, it was over with at 9:30, and I did not miss a Wednesday night from first week of April to first week of October. That's when we fished every year, and I fished every Wednesday night. And that's what really set the foundation for my fishing experience. That was what I think's been so important in my career. People talk about my consistency and my stats and all that, and I think that's where all that comes from. I learned how to catch fish on the fly under, 4-hour tournaments, 3-hour tournaments. You better be catching them. You better sit down on them and you better make it happen quick. In 2012, I started fishing the Bassmaster Opens with the dream of qualifying for the Elite Series. 2012, I think I finished 20-something in the Southern Opens point standings. So I decided I was going to try it one more year, 2013. And I was kind of at the point in my life, I was 23 years old, and I was at that point in my life where it was like, put up or shut up. You got to do something with your life. So sure enough, in 2013, dude, I won the Southern Opens points championship, and that got me into the 2014 Elite Series. So that was when I made the jump, and it's been great. I couldn't begin to say how blessed of a career I've had. It's been awesome. As a professional anything, basketball, baseball player, you got to have support. And I've got so much support around me, family support, friends support, sponsor support. And you get to a point where you want it for those people just as bad as you want it for yourself. And, in talking to some of my friends and stuff, they're like, man, I can't wait till you hold that blue trophy. I can't wait to when we get a blue trophy. It's not if. They would never say if. They said when. That told me that they believed in me and they wanted it for me. And that's why it meant so much when it finally did happen. But yeah, there were definitely some times that I had to have some heart-to-hearts with myself, because consistency-wise, you know, I was doing great. I was making money, life was good, everything was good. But as a competitor, we want to feel that victory moment, that winning moment, and that was missing. It was, most definitely. I think it was 2018. I literally had the fish in my hand to win the tournament. There was no doubt it was a 6+ pound smallmouth. I think I lost by 1.5 pounds that day, and I had a 331 in the live well that fish would have culled. And I'm telling you, honest to goodness, it was a 6 pound smallmouth. I had the fish right there beside the boat. I went to reach and grab it. All of a sudden the hook came out and stuff went haywire and the fish got away. Man, and that's one of those moments where I look back now and I wondered, I wrestled with that for a while. It didn't really affect me. Like I said, I don't think it affected my performance any, but it did affect me a little bit. And I keep a lot of stuff to myself like that, you know, but I don't know, I think now I can look back and I can see why that happened. It made finally getting it done so much sweeter. Maybe I just wasn't ready for it then, man, you know, but I'm just a guy that chooses to live my life. Everything happens for a reason. It does. Pickwick, I owe that lake a lot for what it taught me about ledge fishing. It and Guntersville is where I really learned. And that's where the light bulb really went off in my mind as far as ledge fishing goes. And that's where I really learned it. So to get my first Elite Series win there was something real special. Me and my papa used to fish down there when I was a kid. I'm talking 10 years old. We'd go down there and drift shiners this time of year when it's cold outside for sauger and smallmouth. That's what we were fishing for. But like I said, we fished for everything. So I carried, I think, a 3.5 pound lead into the final day, I believe it was. So I told myself I needed to get to about 18. I knew if I got to about 18 or so, it would be hard. Not saying nobody could catch me, because you're liable to see an upper 20s bag on Pickwick that time of year, but I knew it would be difficult. Somebody would have to catch the biggest bag of the tournament to beat me. So that final morning, I had caught 17 pounds off my starting spot in the first couple of hours. I went and hit a couple of other places, and I was like, man, I had this one little spot that I lit them up on day 3, and they had just got there on day 3. I checked it day 1, day 2, they were not there. They showed up on day 3, and it was a spot I had caught them in a Bassmaster Open last year. Anyway, I roll up to that spot, I see them, I start catching them, and I told myself, I was like, man, if I could just catch a 6 pounder, 5 or 6 pounder, I believe it would seal the deal. And sure enough, man, I fire out there with a 3/4 ounce scrounger. I see a couple of big gizzard shad kind of porpoise on top. And to a Tennessee River guy, that tells you there's something down there feeding on them big gizzard shad is why they're doing that. So I pick up that big scrounger, I fire it out there, and it loads up. And when I first set the hook on it, I didn't think it was that big. And then all of a sudden, it just started getting heavy, and I saw it come up, and I was like, that's the one. And come to find out, it was a 6+ pounder. And that fish pretty much told me in my mind, you know, we can't look at anything when we're on the water. We don't know what's going on. But when you've done this for 9 years, you know what's going on. You can tell by the spectators. You can tell when Sego shows up with the camera trying to get shots for the magazine. You know what's going on. And in my mind, that fish just sealed the deal. I knew that was it. And going back to all the fish that I had lost and all the things that had gone wrong up to that point, for me not winning, all that emotion, that's what you saw when I caught that fish.
Yes! Woo! Yeah! Woo! Gosh, yes! Boom, baby. Boom!
We had a crowd, man. I mean, we did. There were, I'm gonna say, 35, 40 of my closest friends made the 2-something hour drive to come over there and watch me. Guys that I honestly haven't talked to in years, guys that I fished the Wednesday nighters with on Tim's Ford Lake, drove over there to watch me get that win because they had seen that fish catch and they knew that I had pretty much sealed the deal. So Man, that meant a lot to me, and that goes back to what I was saying about your support system. And the fact I mean it when I say I wanted it for them worse than I did for myself.